I don't think would have really happened for you if you didn't coin the term Dr. Barbecue.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's step right in here. And how did that come across to you?
Not a great story. I wish I should have made up a better story years ago. So, my barbecue contest career started in 82. I need a new vehicle, so I'm going to buy a van. And I got a little platform. I could haul this thing around on the back of my van, and I'm going to be hitting the road. So at the same time, Illinois had never allowed vanity license plates beyond 3 letters. I call them up, and they send me a postcard where I can write down my 3 choices of what license plate I want, and I mail in the postcard, and I really don't remember what my choice is. It wasn't like I had thought up this Dr. Barbecue idea. It probably was like Mr. Barbecue, Barbecue Guy, Barbecue Man, Dr. Barbecue, whatever order even, I don't know. But they send me the Dr. Barbecue license plate, and I put it on my van.
That's how you start a campfire in Carter County.
Freaking awesome.
You're watching Pellet Cooker University with Fast Eddie. Light 'em up.
I want to welcome everyone back to another show of Pellet Cooker University. I say it every time. I want to say it here again. I got a really special guest. I'm so fortunate to got to know all these people from back in the day. This fella here, I mean to tell you, we could sit here and tell stories to get us grayer than we are by far. His name's Ray Lampe. I'm sure you've all have run across and seen him somewhere, somehow, some way, especially if you got any age on you prior to the internet world. The man's wrote all kinds of cookbooks. He's wrote the NFL tailgate cookbook. We got to know each other back in the 90s, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But I really want to get into a lot of his path and how he made a living and pounded it out after his family trucking business. So here we are. Ray Lampe, welcome
Eddie, good to see you, buddy.
To my podcast. I mean, I can't tell you, we would talk probably every other day on the telephone at least.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
We still do. I mean, not all the time, but,
right.
You're one of the guys I always stay in touch with. You know, we've been through a lot together, man. I'm going to start with where I first met you. I don't know if you even know. I think it was at the first or the second, probably, Illinois State Barbecue Championship in West Chicago. I don't know. You came up early. I think so. Yeah.
I think that's where I came in and I repped that event.
So you guys, though, so this was probably 92, if I remember right.
93, maybe. 92, okay. 93. That's when I got on the board of the KCBS and I became a rep.
Okay. So I started in 91 and it was my member number is under 1,000. But you guys, there was a small pack of you, mostly from Kansas City, that were way ahead of us. So when you guys would show up, you actually knew what was going on. My first KCBS contest, I only cooked a turkey. I didn't know you were supposed to cook all 4 categories, and back then the category was poultry. So I knew how to cook this turkey. I injected it with sherry and butter, and I cooked that thing, and I got a 3rd place trophy, my first trophy ever. But that's how far behind we were. And I mean, you guys hadn't started that much sooner, but you were 5 years ahead of us, and you knew, plus you were from Kansas City, a barbecue town. You knew what was going on. And I always remember you were always helpful. You were always and you could have been snobby, and some of the people that were doing it back then. But you were all, for me personally and for everybody that I saw, you were always helpful. And we've been friends ever since. And there's a whole lot of other stories along the way where you helped me. I promise you that. And we'll get to some of them.
Well, that's how the industry was built. It wasn't built on YouTube and sat at home on my couch watching some influencer tell me how to cook. Okay, I mean, it was built out here.
You're trying to rile me up right away.
We're going to dive deep. Okay, I mean, on some of this stuff, but that's really how it happened. It was that person-to-person contact. And where did you learn some of this stuff?
Well, none of us invented it.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? You guys had to learn it, too. You just were a little bit ahead of us at the time. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have books. I remember the first barbecue book I ever bought. It was that guy, that goofball from St. Louis, Charlie Note. You remember that book? He was a food scientist. Yeah. It was the weirdest book ever, but it was the only book that talked about cooking a brisket. There was no other books existed.
Right.
So, I mean, we had to learn from each other, and none of us invented it. We learned from the guy before us, and it's our job to pass it on.
pass it on, but also we all tweaked it. We all worked on it, trying to figure out. And then I'm over here clear off to the other side of the frickin' moon, messing with these mini stick things. Okay.
Yes, I remember.
I was the
well.
weirdest son of a, and everybody don't, I was like I was like the alligator next to the water, and everybody, you got to stay away from him.
That's true. We didn't know what it was. Nobody knew what this thing was. It made no sense,
Right. Oh God. But we talked all the time once we got to knowing each other. And the biggest thing I think that moved stuff ahead was, we're going to jump several years. And when the internet finally hit, was late 90s. What do you think? 97?
Yeah, something like that. I think I bought my first computer I think it was 95, but I'm not really sure, because my neighbor had bought one. It was a big gateway, big cow boxes, and I didn't know what I was going to do with this thing. I had a business, but I had no idea that I would use it for my business. But I knew, my neighbor told me there was a barbecue site where people were talking about barbecue. I was like, well, I got to buy one of these things. I got to get in on this. And that's exactly why I bought my first computer.
The Barbecue Forum.
Yep, the Barbecue Forum, exactly.
And it was the place where we all went.
I mean, it was dial-up.
And dial
literally, the whole thing would have to dial your phone for your internet service. So that's how bad it was.
Yeah, but the Barbecue Forum is where we really conferred with each other on it. And
what was the one place? And that's what I think they miss now, because there's literally a million places where you can talk about barbecue. There was one back then.
Right. Well, and there wasn't that many people in their backyard doing it.
Yeah.
There was grills, but as far as slow cooking.
And back then we were more like chip on our shoulder about it. It had to be real barbecue. There was not like none of this grilling stuff or hot and fast.
Oh, well, it's just an evolution of cooking in general.
But we were the snobs because we knew we were the barbecue guys.
Oh,
the real barbecue guys.
Well, and that's the reason why Ray is in studio today, is because he's here emceeing the Barbecue Hall of Fame, and he's done that for a few years. You were inducted in 2014. And he does a wonderful job of inducting the people. And it's nothing like being in studio.
Right.
So that's why we're so fortunate to have him right here doing this. I can't tell. I get goosebumps thinking that this is so neat to get to have a guest, from not on remotely.
Yeah, but if I had $1 for every time I came and hung out with you in Kansas City over the years, I'd have a little pile.
Yeah, he had a little bed in my basement.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We all didn't have any money.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I had to live in the basement. Happy to get it.
Yeah, it was. Gosh, guys, we could sit here and talk all night. So after your truck driving gig and you're going to go sell barbecue in a food trailer.
Yeah, I didn't know what else to do. I needed a new job. I was 43, so I built a nice trailer with a kitchen in it that I knew would be legal. And I was like, I got to go somewhere warm. And the only place I knew really was Lakeland, because we used to go down there for the cook-off every year.
Yeah, Lakeland was the beginning of Florida.
Right.
For any big cooking stuff.
Yeah, and it was an excuse to leave Chicago and Kansas City in January. We'd always go down there. And so I was like, well, these people, first of all, there's a bunch of barbecue guys there. I know some of them. They like barbecue, and it's redneck enough that I could probably find a place on the side of the road. Food trucks were not a thing.
No.
You had to find a parking lot somewhere with a guy that would say, okay. It wasn't like now it's a common situation. Well, I was like, well, I guess I'll move to Florida. I literally drove down there. I quit my job or closed up the trucking business on the 31st, and on the 10th, I checked in that hotel right there on 98 and I-4 in Lakeland, get a phone, because we had roaming charges back then. And so I go to the mall and I get a new phone with the same phone number I still have. And then I started looking for an apartment. I didn't know what else to do. So I finally found a place to live. And then I started trying to sort this out. And it was a wing and a prayer, man. I just was, I just kind of had that in me that let's give it a shot and I'll sort this out. I needed to. There was no path to being a food truck guy like there is now.
What year was that?
It was 2000.
It was 2000.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it might have been a little earlier, but 2000. All right. That was back in the day. We were at a penny a minute buying those calling cards at Sam's, and we recharge them with our credit card.
Yeah.
That was.
Well, if you went to another state, you didn't want to use your phone, right? Because you got all them roaming charges.
Oh yeah. So we were on those calling cards.
Yeah.
Is what we were doing. But it was always a good time to call Ray Lampe, and if you get down and you want to hear or you wanted to help a buddy get up, you'd call. We'd talk about our day or what happened or whatever. We had something we could bounce off each other.
Yeah, we've always been kindred spirits in that little bit of a chip on our shoulders.
So in this trailer, you built you a quasi pellet cooker?
Yeah, so I built this 20-foot trailer, and I find this guy who built it out exactly like I wanted. It was a beautiful trailer, and nobody had those at the time, but I needed a cooker, and I didn't really have a situation. I needed to have it on board, and nobody had built the deck trailers like that. That's probably what I would have if it was now.
Right.
So I needed a cooker that could go inside. I obviously couldn't have a fire in there. I didn't know what to do. Yeah, I knew you, and I saw what you were doing with the pellet cookers, and it seemed like a good fit. Problem was the FE100 was too small. It just wasn't going to be big enough. I'm pretty sure I asked you to make me a bigger one. We were all asking you to make a bigger one back then, and the answer was no.
Yeah, I didn't. It was tough enough what we did, and then to make a bigger one and try to make the thing cook, because I knew there'd be issues and complications with it. I didn't want to be dealing with the phone calls, from my good buddies wanting me to fix this.
The custom one. I need mine 8 inches longer.
Because I already ran into that with Bill Pittman and the guys at the fire department. I had experience of that, from the locals, and I said,
Well, and I'm going to tell stories on you too. At the time, you had the firehouse. You had bought that little firehouse, and you were building them there.
Yeah, I bought that April of '97.
Yeah,
when I moved into the Heim 20.
So you had your little assembly line going, building them the one sizers,
right?
And there was no so anyway. But the other good part at the time, Traeger had come out with that 75,
right?
The one that looked like an offset, and you could really unscrew the whole guts of it and just plug it in. If you could get somebody to build you a bigger cabinet,
right,
you could just plug this thing in. It may not work as well as yours were working, but at least it was a start. And so I found a guy up in Michigan, John Ford, who I still see all the time up in Michigan. His buddy Brian worked at a fab shop, and he was kind of into it, so he built me one. It was, I don't know, probably it was close to twice the size of an FE100.
Oh yeah,
but we plugged this 75 unit on it, and it worked. I always remember though, the one thing I couldn't figure out that gasket you were using, that nice rubber gasket.
Yeah,
and I called you, and I was like, I felt bad calling you because I was building a knockoff of your cooker, but you were nice enough to help me and tell me where to get that gasket. It was just a Granger or something, but I didn't know what to buy.
Right.
And I put the gasket on there, and I was thinking about that on the way over here though. Then I got a grease fire in it almost immediately and warped the door, and the gasket didn't work anyway.
And I knew that was going to happen. That's why I didn't want to been down that road.
That's why you should buy the FE100.
That's why I didn't want to go down that road. I don't want those calls. I didn't want to be reliable for any of that kind of stuff. I didn't want to burn your trailer down.
Well, that's the other
and be
side
on
of it.
me.
We're talking about the grease fire. That cooker was in my trailer.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was just in there like a piece of furniture. And Eddie used to laugh all the time, like that I was going to die sleeping in there overnight. And it's really surprising I didn't. I'd be sleeping with the cooker going in my trailer.
Yeah. So the barbecue forum thing, and now you started writing and doing cookbook stuff. What year did you start your first gig of doing some kind of writing for somebody for $1?
It was Bruce Ring.
Bruce Ring.
It was our friend up in Iowa.
It was the Barbecuer magazine.
He started a magazine, Barbecuer
and I was
magazine.
a huge advertiser in it.
Yeah, Bruce was a banker up in Iowa. I don't know what he was thinking opening a magazine, but he did. Yeah, I'm sure he would agree. But he starts his magazine.
He knew magazines was the way people were doing things, and he wanted to be on the front side of something cool. Well, and he had something cool.
It was cool, and Bruce was just a guy like us trying to be creative and entrepreneur stuff. And so I called him one day. I wanted to write the Ask Dr. Barbecue column. I don't know where that idea came from. I just decided he needed that. And he's like, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll pay you when I can, essentially. And Bruce bought me my first chef jacket that had the flames on the collars. That thing was probably $100 at the time.
Really?
And I was like, well, I need to get this. So I'm going to be going out and doing events, because he bought me some banners. And, these were the origins of sponsorships for cook-off guys.
Right.
We had to make it up. It wasn't like you call Prairie Fresh and get on the list of 100 teams they sponsor. And nothing against them. They're doing what they should do. But, I mean, it's a lot. it's a lot more of a footprint for it. We had to make it up back then. So anyway, Bruce buys me the chef jacket, and literally some years he paid me and some years he didn't. I did it for a couple of years, and I was fine with that. It was cool. And we were trying to transition it to online. It was just so archaic, the websites back then.
Yeah.
It just couldn't really work. And the other problem was nobody was sending in questions. We needed them to call us or mail in a question, I guess, at the time. I mean, email was in its infancy for us.
Oh, yeah.
So we never had enough questions, so we would have to make up the questions always for the for the magazine.
But it made good reading.
Yeah, we made up good
that was
questions.
That was the start of your idea of how and what. Yeah.
Well, and it was a way to frame it, to kind of just, teach people how to cook barbecue in kind of a different format. Instead of just writing an article every month about this is how you do something like that, we kind of framed it around these questions.
You were killing it in the food truck world.
Well, it depends on the week.
It was killing you.
Yeah.
Well, so tell our viewers what it was like to try to get people to stop next to the road there.
Yeah, well, there's two parts of my whole story that have morphed over the years into sounding better. The story is in the trucking business. I told them all, screw you, kicked the guy in the balls, and went on to I'm going to go be a barbecue guy. Well, that's not true at all. I'd still be doing that if it was there. It just changed. It was in Chicago. All the little factories were going, man. That's when they were going to China in the late 90s, and that's when that was happening. I always remember the story. The guy showed me, he had a little machine shop, and he shows me his micrometer, if you know what a micrometer is. High-tech German instrument at the time.
Yeah.
And he said, Ray, this is the German one, and this is the China one. And they looked exactly the same. He said the German one, it was $300, and this China one is $40 or something like that. And I always remember that now, because that's what was happening that we didn't realize. That was the change of things. So all the little factories around Chicago were drying up. They were going away. At the same time, FedEx and UPS were starting to haul anything that wasn't a pallet was becoming their freight.
Right.
And there was just nothing left for local guys. And my heart just wasn't in it at that point. It was a family business. I closed business my grandfather started in 1936. But it was just over, and it was time to move on.
But tell people, I think you had to jump into that business. Didn't your dad pass?
Yeah, I was 18. I was a month out of high school, and he didn't want me to do that. I was just getting stoned and working at the grocery store, and he died. And I was like, well, I guess this is my new job, and I did it for 25 years.
So you were you had to jump into it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what you do,
Right.
But anyway, the other side of the story that people don't want to hear is that I really sucked in the food truck business. To this day, I can't convince young people that I really lost my ass in the food truck business. It wasn't good. They somehow think that, because I ended up, being who I am, that I must have been really good at that. And it was, I don't think it was me. It's just a miserable business. So here's the thing. So I like you said, trying to find somebody to let you park your truck and have a 50 amp outlet, it's just not that simple.
Right.
And then again, this is 25 years ago. It was even harder back then. So here's the deal I would always cut. If I could talk the guy into it, I would pay for half of installing the 50 amp circuit.
Wow,
so
you got somebody to pay half.
Yeah, I can show you all around Lakeland where there's 50 amp parts that I paid for half of. Some of them I actually made some money on the deal. Others, it was like a week later, I was like, man, that sucked. I had to pay for that. But so I finally get this produce guy, and this dude had no teeth. He's a produce guy, right on 98 there north. I think there's still a market there. I think his son runs it now. And this guy was a redneck, man. He was a redneck ass dude. And he had a produce market, and he had a spot there. And I was like, okay. And he was popular. People liked the guy. He would get nice produce. So he was my first place where I started selling barbecue. And so here's the thing. On some days, I started to build a reputation. On some days, it's great. It's a beautiful day. Everybody's hungry. It's Friday. Great. If it's Tuesday and it's raining, good luck. You're not selling nothing.
You shouldn't even be there.
Right, yeah. But you got to be there, because if you're not there, then they expect you to be like a real business.
Yeah.
And you're going to be there every day.
Right.
And you're going to be open from 11 in the morning till midnight. And even though nobody's ever there.
Right.
And I mean, I sat there some days for hours in the middle of the day.
You were good at sleeping in your chair, though.
Well, it had to be. I had to learn, I needed one of them buzzers, so if somebody came up to the window, I would wake up. Yeah, so there didn't have to. But there'd be a week where you'd make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And then the next week it would rain, or maybe even a month. There was a season I made great money. I moved across the street to the hardware store and had a great spot there. That place was busy. Those people kind of got it. I had room to put a little table and chairs. But I come back after the season, so I would leave for the summer because it's Florida and
it's hot. Nobody's out.
Yeah, and the idea
They're
was
hibernating.
to go do these. I did some festivals and contests and stuff, and then come back for the fall. And one of the problems, though, is like the snowbirds don't come back till way later than I thought. I didn't know. I lived in Chicago. But I come back from the summer, and I'm ready to go right back to this hardware store. And the guy said, "Oh, gee, I'm really sorry. I can only get one permit for a year." And I used the permit this year to give it to they used to have these repo auto sales. They'd bring like 100 cars in, park them on his lot, and pretend they were all repos, and they were selling them at hot prices. But he said, I used that permit. I paid me like $2,000 for the weekend. And sorry, you can't be here this year. And that's the nature of it,
Yeah.
So now I went and found another place over by a pest control guy. And I could show you where the 50 amp plug is on his building. So it just gets ridiculous, And at the same time, I was and actually you were part of it, and Nick Nicholas, our mutual friend down in Lakeland, Nick had a retail store at the time, and he was always involved in the barbecue business. And Nick was like, these grill companies need to start hiring guys like you. You're the perfect fit for this.
Nick was ahead of things. Nick was he was a barbecue competitor too.
Yeah.
And then he was with the pool company. That's how he met Stuart.
But that was after his retail store.
Yeah. Well, or during too.
Well, yeah, that's true too. He's probably doing both, right?
Yeah, and he got hired by that, and that's how he got to knowing Cook Shack.
But it was kind of his idea that I should get, and I was like, well, okay, but I don't know anybody. And he actually got Napoleon Grills up in Canada to hire me to do some events.
That's right.
For them.
He was a Napoleon rep or store,
and good friends with them guys. And
he was hooked. They liked him, and he was moving a lot of stuff for him out of that. What was the name of his store there in Lakeland?
It was one of them. They all kind of got the same name.
Smoking Fire or something.
Something like that. Yeah, right. But Nick was the guy that initiated it kind of, and then you guys got the idea for the American Barbecue Association. So let's go back to Bruce Ring, writing for the magazine. Bruce closes the magazine. He's just done with this. It's not working out. He sold it or something. I think he got out okay. But I don't have anything to do now when I ask Dr. Barbecue, which in my mind is a big deal, And so someone says, call Dave DeWitt. And Dave is the guy who, if you don't know Dave, he's the Pope of Peppers.
Yeah.
He still runs, he finally sold it, the Fiery Food Show out in Albuquerque. Dave was original editor of Chili Pepper Magazine. He started Fiery Foods Magazine. He's just Dave's probably written 50 cookbooks, all kinds of crazy stuff. And he's really an interesting guy. So he had a magazine at the time, and he was getting his website rolling. So I called him and I said, hey, I got the Ask Dr. Barbecue thing, and, you got any interest? He goes, yeah, I've been thinking about adding some more barbecue to my stuff, and I'll pay you $300 a month. And I was like, holy shit, I hit the jackpot. Bruce wasn't paying me that. But Dave was good at he's the one that we started really getting questions, coming in, because Dave's website was very active. So through that comes an opportunity to write a cookbook. He called me one day and he said, hey, I got this opportunity to write a cookbook. Steve Rakeland's books had just were a big deal. And there wasn't a lot of barbecue books, and these publishers were looking for guys like me. And he said, I can't do this book, but you can. And you got to take the agent, and you got to take the whole deal. And I'm like, the fuck? I'm sitting at home selling barbecue and the toothless barbecue, the produce guys stand. Of course, I'll take a book deal. And it ended up I ended up writing 9 of them. That's a whole nother story. Then it came the ABA. You guys started talk about stirring the shit.
We can ruffle some feathers.
We're gonna reinvent KCBS. That was a really good idea.
Well, and now everybody it just was way too early, I guess, for it, And our big deal was we didn't care what you cooked on.
Right. No, it was a cool idea. It was a really good idea. I don't
care if you brought a microwave and you wanted to call it barbecue. That's up to you.
Well, and KCBS, and God, it's been good to me and you. I don't know where I'd be without them having done what they did. We got to be honest about that. But it's pretty stagnant. It still hasn't.
I've seen it coming.
Something new sounded like a really good idea.
Well, and also broadening the marketplace.
Yeah.
They were narrow. They had the marketplace really narrowed, instead of can't have anything gas.
Right.
We
have a vote about pellet cookers. We all know that.
They tried to outlaw pellet cookers from day one. Mm-hmm. It fit the rules, but I mean, let's be honest, if I didn't have half the board or better all having pellet cookers, it could have been
if you would have done what you did, right? It'd probably be outlawed, and Joe Traeger would be some guy we heard about back in the day.
Yeah, he'd be gone probably.
Right.
Or his business. Well, as tight as he kept everybody away, that was, in the pellet cooker world. I'm going to go right back to it. If you watched the Barbecue Bob first episode, and how hard it was trying to sell these pellet cookers, Joe Traeger, he kept everybody away. And then another thing, too, why I didn't really want to build other people cookers, because I was buying the platform from Traeger.
Right.
Because you bought a cooker from Traeger.
But I just bought it at retail. And
it didn't matter.
Took it apart.
So you took it apart. But they were hard on people that were trying to get into the pellet cooker business. And like I said, they didn't know what to do with me, because I was like Carol Shelby. I'd buy your shit, cut it up,
Fix it.
I made smoker ovens out of pellet grills, is what I did. So
yeah, that was some pretty groundbreaking stuff.
But okay, so might be a good time to drop the story about the first gig that you really got to be in. And that was when the ABA got the call from Maxim magazine.
Yeah, to finish up about the ABA, you guys had this vision, and I was going to be the guy that basically did all the talking.
Right.
And Nick kind of had that same vision for me. I didn't see it at the time, but kind of worked out pretty good. So we had this fit, and I was definitely part of the ABA. And then you get the call. You got the call from Maxim, as I remember it.
Right.
So Maxim magazine, which was a big deal at the time.
Oh yeah, if anybody remembers Maxim magazine, it was right on the edge,
like Playboy Light, like they had like a veil over their boobs or something. It was, it was like.
They were just barely legal to be on the shelf.
Yeah, right.
And of course, everybody had them. Every fire station I was in had all of them.
But it was a men's, it was like an edgy men's magazine. So barbecue was a good fit. So we get a call. Eddie gets the call, but we all got in. I mean, I got in on it right away. These editors, and we still stay in touch with the two guys,
we're still
Charles
friends with them,
and Paul. They're going to cook 3 hogs. They're going to cook a hog with one in a hole in the ground, one on a spit, and one in a cooker. And they were going to do it. They just wanted us to coach them, and they were going to do this. And, they didn't have any budget for us to come there or do anything. And so I was like, at the time.
First of all, tell them they were going to do it on the beach.
I thought they always were going to do it in the guy's backyard.
No, they were going to do this on a beach.
Okay,
but they got shut down. They wouldn't get a permit.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know if I even knew that. Part of the story.
So then that's why they had to move to Charles's backyard.
He had just moved there too. And his neighbors, the one neighbor kid kept hanging out. So
it's in a Jewish neighborhood cooking 3 hogs. Okay.
With a hole in the ground. So it said the article in the magazine, if you could ever find it, I don't know what year that was. I told the guy, okay, I'll come and do this. And Eddie, of course, snatches. He's the expert. We're going to claim we're experts at cooking a hog in the cooker, because that's going to be the easier. Yeah, right. It was his deal. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll cook the hole in the ground, but I ain't digging the fucking hole. And that's what they put in the magazine. Like, he said he would come and do it, but he wasn't digging the fucking hole. Yeah. So now we need somebody.
That was verbatim.
Yes, I think it exactly was. So they had to dig the hole. And these are like 2 Jewish guys from New York, like getting ready to cook a pig in their backyard. And then now we need a third guy to cook one on the spit. So at the time though, I got to go back. They didn't have any budget. They were just going to do it. And I was like, I was in Tennessee the week before, and Eddie was as well.
Right.
And he had flown in, and I was like, we'll just get in my car and drive to New Jersey and do this, because why not? Right. That's what we do.
I rode in this van with him up there.
Yeah, I'm sure they were like, what the heck is these guys doing? And we're like, we'll just come. And so we called Chris Lilly, who is our buddy, and we convinced Chris.
We pound around, who can we get? Who can we get?
Yeah, right. That will fall for this.
Yeah, and it's like, I said, man, you think Lily would come? And Chris was all about trying to do something.
Well, we all were. I mean, we were looking for cool stuff to do at the time. This was so new. Nobody's done anything like this before.
Right.
So we called Chris, and we convinced him that he's the spit cooking expert.
Poor Chris, he's out there keeping the wind and making it
it's falling off the spit like they always do. and he had to fly. Chris actually had to buy himself a plane ticket. Me and Eddie were kind of in the neighborhood.
I bought a ticket home.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Because I hoteled it with Chris at the airport.
Yeah, good. We slept on Charles's couch, and and so I always laugh. They paid us 2 bottles of Jack Daniels. So it's 3 of us, and somehow the budget only allowed 2 bottles of Jack. So we drank the 2 bottles of Jack and cooked the hogs. Yeah. And being that it's Maxim, we did. I don't know if what we knew was happening. A bus shows up in the morning with a bunch of staff like to be at the party and a bunch of bikini models.
Oh yeah.
So all of a sudden we're in the middle of this cooking these hogs. It was the first time we did anything like that.
Oh, it was wild.
We've been very blessed and done a bunch of cool stuff since.
All the kids in this neighborhood, when they seen, first of all, these big giant bus pulls up, now all these chicks start getting out. Okay. You've got every neighborhood kid in the world. We had a crowd around this house and up and down the fence line.
And they were new neighbors too. Charles had just moved into their neighborhood.
And we stand over next to him. What's going on here? It was wild. Yeah.
It was. It definitely was.
It was barely legal, I think.
I'm not sure it was. I don't think you can dig a hole in New Jersey and the ground and cook a hog.
Yeah, it's like, are rats going to dig this up afterwards when we put all the bones and scraps in here or whatever?
Who knows? What a mess. But we had fun, and it was such a big deal for us anyway. Nobody'd done anything like that before, and it was a big spread, the whole article about
then we had to wait 3 months for it to come out.
Yeah, did we? I didn't remember that, but that's typical.
Typical of the magazine world.
But they were so good to us, so respectful, and it was a big deal. Nobody'd done anything like that before.
Oh yeah, no, that was groundbreaking, and that also helped launch. You got how many Maxim magazines did you buy to send around?
Oh yeah, we just moved and downsized, and I found a big stack of them. Sure,
I was big talk on the fire department.
Yeah,
because like I said, every station had one.
Well, Mike Tucker from Hog Eyes up in Iowa was our good friend, and Mike always supported everything. Mike took the made one of them things where you take the magazine article apart and get it framed with like a mat with different boxes and stuff. He had someone do it, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And I still had that thing. I might have tossed it when I finally moved this time, but it could be in my garage. I'm not sure.
Take a look. I'm gonna have to go digging hard for the photos. We need to insert a bunch of stuff here. Digging up old photos.
I might have some too. I'll look around for them, but
I bet we might even find it online. Some people may have scanned it or something.
It was there for years. Who knows though? That stuff's pretty old.
Yeah, it's pretty old, but it was man, what a story that thing is.
And it just was so new. That was really, I don't know that any of us had done any national thing like that where you were really the feature. Right. It was very much about us cooking these hogs.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was great. So now got to go back to food trucking.
Yeah, unfortunately, right.
It's like, what a world. 2 different things.
Well, that transition was, you're exactly right. That transition was really weird. I'd be selling stuff in the parking lot, and then next week I was on TV on the Food Network doing something, and then show back up. But it never really translated like it would have if the timing was right. Like the original Triple D guys, some of those guys got really famous because of that. It wasn't quite like that back then.
No. But so how long did you mess with the food truck?
Gosh, I'm not even sure. I think I sold the trailer in 2008.
Oh, okay.
And bought that smaller one. So I had the whole thing. I had it for 8 years.
I think you had it in storage for a couple years.
Yeah, last couple of years it was done. Probably 5 years. Because I was still doing it part-time, but I had things happening. And then somewhere along the way, I got hired by Big Green Egg, and that was a whole different thing.
Let's get into that story. This is the coolest story I think there is in barbecue. Because when you have one of your greatest hecklers of a business, okay, and on the barbecue forum there was a term, when you seen bottoms up you knew what happened. Okay, that term should have been coined. Okay, because so many people would come on there and they'd want to know the information is how to fix my egg, because the carriage that those eggs were in were so narrow, and how the wheels were, people would be rolling them around and they'd dump and fall over.
Well, they would pull them by the handle, and there was no way to lock the lid. So if you were pulling it by the front handle and you hit a bump, it would just open and the bottom would just fall on the ground and break. And the other thing they did, they went through a small period where they had this hinge that had a lever. And with a little, they put a big yellow thing on there so you would see it because everybody was forgetting it. If the lid was open and you tried to close it, you had to notch this lever or it wouldn't close. What it would do was you'd bend the band off of the lid and the lid would just fall on the ground and break. I mean, in fairness, the company was really booming and growing and they needed to straighten some of this stuff out.
Right.
And at the same time, the internet and we could take pictures all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So there was pictures of broken eggs every Monday morning.
Yeah, always on the barbecue forum, somebody's there with their broken egg, and of course the thing's wasted once that happens, you know. And you had this Humpty Dumpty saying deal, and then it was like bottoms up because everybody lift one.
You do a shot every time they break their egg.
Every time somebody shows their broken
egg. Oh, it was
egg.
so mean. These poor guys.
And then you get hired by them to be their spokesperson. How in the hell did that happen? We got to hear this. I mean, this is crazy.
I'm still not sure how I pulled that one off. So I was working for Napoleon, and I wasn't working for him full time, but I was doing events I was their chef to go to festivals, trade shows. Really, is what we're doing. So I had a fancy chef jacket, and the way that worked was. It was really smart of them to see the opportunity that Nick had seen and we all talked about. Instead of just having a salesman there, golf shirt, burning a steak, pretending he knows how to cook on this grill, you got me there in a chef jacket with the barbecue awards behind me. And
we're gonna take a real quick break right here.
This is hard, Eddie. No, we got a lot to talk about.
I know we do, but what we're going to talk about a break is nothing in this world I don't think would have really happened for you if you didn't coin the term Dr. Barbecue.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's step right in here. And how did that come across to decide to become Dr. Barbecue?
It's not a great story. I wish I should have made up a better story years ago. So I was this is 90, I think it was 93. I went to my first KCBS cook-off in 91, and I'm like, oh my God. I'd been going to a rib cook-off in Chicago since 82. So, I mean, my barbecue contest career started in 82. I mean, it's hard to find anybody started before that. But it was one a year. We'd go cook some ribs downtown in Chicago. And my buddy had made me a barrel grill. So now I find KCBS, and I'm getting pretty into it. So I buy one of them Brinkman offsets like at Sam's Club or something. And I need a new vehicle, so I'm going to buy a van. And I got a little platform. I could haul this thing around on the back of my van, and I'm going to be hitting the road. I'm ready to do this. So at the same time, Illinois had never allowed vanity license plates beyond 3 letters. All of a sudden they do. But again, this is 1993. I call them up and they send me a postcard where I can write down my 3 choices of what license plate I want, and I mail in the postcard, and I really don't remember what my choices were. It wasn't like I had thought up this Dr. Barbecue idea. Mm-hmm. It probably was like Mr. Barbecue, Barbecue Guy, Barbecue Man, Dr. Barbecue, whatever order even, I don't know. But they send me the Dr. Barbecue license plate, and I put it on my van. I don't think anything, I'm not thinking this is like my thing now,
Uh-huh.
But little by little it became that, but we still, my team name was Bone Smokers.
That's right.
Forever, right? I didn't use Dr. Barbecue till much later as my team name. It was just a license plate on my van, but little by little it kind of caught on, became a thing. And what I really did was when so when it came time to buy websites, buy domains, we didn't know what you're going to do with it. But someone told me about this, and I was like, well, I better go buy drbarbecue.com. I really didn't know. I built my own website. Front Page, I think, was that software we could get back then. But it wasn't really anything thought out very well. And then I went into seasoning business for one of the many times. But even that was Bone Smokers. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wasn't really using Dr. Barbecue. But because I had the license plate, it was like omnipresent,
Right.
And so then little by little it became the thing. But you're right. It's probably...
You developed into Dr. Barbecue, but you
well, it was like
luckily,
the opposite of what you do now. Now you would like have this whole plan to build your brand and blah, blah, blah. You know, before you even have any skill or know how to cook anything, you become this brand. And I did it the complete opposite way. The brand kind of came along by accident.
Yeah, that's a great part of the story. I mean, that's what it's. Yeah, it's like it's not a sexy story, but it's a longevity of how.
Well, and I trademarked it. You know, as time went on, when I needed to, I got some trademarks and I protected it. You know, as needed. So here's a great story. Somebody calls me and says. Texas Monthly Magazine, when apps were first a new thing. Texas Monthly has this app where if you go to all these Texas barbecue restaurants and you check in, eventually you get status, not going to be worth anything. And one of their top statuses was Doctor of Barbecue. And I'm like, oh, this is bad, because everybody that gets that is going to put Dr. Barbecue on their business card. So I go see the lawyer. And he said, well, we'll send him a cease and desist letter. And I said, well, there's two other guys. There was these guys in California, DNR Barbecue. It was like Don and Robert or something. And I had talked to them before because it was DR Barbecue. And they said, no, we're DNR Barbecue. We're not Dr. Barbecue. But little by little, all of a sudden their logo was like a guy in scrubs eating a slab of ribs. And, you know, they wasn't their fault, but it just kind of, people started calling them that. And there was a third guy in Southern Illinois somewhere with a food truck, and he was the Doctor of Barbecue. So I was like, all right, we got to send out 3 cease and desist letters. So we sent the cease and desist letters out, and the guys in California changed their website to an orca about to eat a seal, and they write this whole thing about, why am I messing with them? Dr. Barbecue is a big deal, and why is he worried about us? And we're DNR Barbecue, which was nonsense. They later changed their name to Kings because they knew they were really not doing it right. The guy in Southern Illinois sends a letter back and says, I'm really sorry, Mr. Lampe. I'm a Vietnam veteran and, disabled, and this is my only source of income. And if I have to change the name of my truck, I'll be screwed. And, but tell me what you want me to do. And Texas Monthly's lawyers send back a letter basically saying, F you. So now I'm like, oh, great. Now what am I going to do?
What am I going to? Everybody's telling me to stick it at my ass.
Yeah. So we determined that we've put them all on alert, and now we don't have to do anything else. And I learned my lesson about sending cease and desist letters.
Right.
And none of them went forward with any of it. And at this point, I would protect it if I had to. But I did the right things along the way because I kind of saw what was happening.
A little side caveat about this.
Yeah, we got a lot of those.
Well, the guy that really has a lot of protection issues and problems and really all the time is Butt Rub.
Yeah. I think he spent a lot of money protecting it.
He has.
But you have to.
You have to
do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, okay. So where were we before we started? Let's go back to the green egg relationship and how that cultivated from being their biggest heckler to being their corporate chef.
Well, so I told you I was working with Napoleon Grills, doing trade shows, and they kind of liked what I was doing. And I happened to be set up one day next to the big green egg people. And it was a small show, so it was just me, basically, and a couple of Napoleon Grills, and they had a few of their people. And they knew who I was, and they knew what I had been doing, and they were all scared of me, basically. So the one guy from Canada, Brian, he was a Canadian rep. He said, I'll go talk to that guy. So he brought me a chicken wing. And then I wrote about this years later, and I wrote a book from Green Egg. And he brings me a chicken wing. And he goes, I want you to try this. So I eat the chicken wing. I'm like, it's pretty good. But meanwhile, I know that my future as the gas grill guy with Napoleon is probably not that good. If I could get over there to that company that's selling the charcoal grills, I could, and I could rehabilitate them easily because I was the guy bashing them. So I could just change my mind about all of that and claim that they fixed everything, which they actually had. They had gotten rid of, they made the thing wider and bigger wheels on it, and they fixed that handle thing. So anyway, I called him, and one guy came over. The guy who was running the company, he wasn't Ed Fisher's the guy that owns the company and kind of still does. But Jim Newfer was the guy. He was running the company, and he came over and chatted with me a little bit. And he said, well, if you ever want one, give me a call. So a week or two later, I'm sitting at home, and I was heading up back through Atlanta, and I was like, maybe I should call that guy and go get one of them things. So I called him, and he said, yeah, come on by. So I swung by with my trailer, and I got pictures of myself standing. They were in a strip mall at the time. This is the part of the story that I like, because we went from the strip mall to the Penthouse in the time I worked with them. So anyway, I swing by, they give me an egg, and I start cooking on it cook my chicken on it at barbecue contests, and I'm doing pretty good with it. So I'm starting to learn to like this thing. It's actually a pretty good charcoal cooker. So I still got my big pellet cooker I'm cooking everything on in the trailer, where it's about to kill me, and I got my green egg to cook my chicken. So
meant by killing him is because of the smoke that was coming out in the trailer.
Because it was inside my trailer. It wasn't the pellet
and
cooker's
it wasn't sealed
fault.
very well.
Right, yes. There was no like...
I just had to explain that part to the wannabe food truckers.
Yeah. If you actually like figured it out to make it exhaust properly, you would probably not die.
Well, if you had a good commercial. Now, the new commercial stuff does.
A completely different thing. Yeah.
I'm not talking about the homemade, I'm going to make my own pellet cooker guy.
And warp the door in the first week you own the thing, just in case it was exhausting right. Make sure the door's not sealing. And exactly.
So now you're rolling out the charcoal grill.
So I got this for cooking my chicken. So anyway, the deal green egg cut with me. So I was staying in touch with them. And I mean, I saw an opportunity here, because they needed somebody like me to really, they had this big cult following, but they really needed somebody mainstream like me that could start talking about this thing to barbecue guys. And they sort of understood that. So we kept talking, and they didn't really want to pay me, but they said, well, we'll suggest to our dealers and distributors, if they want to do an event or something, they can call you and hire you. So I get a call from, the guys, the Bassmeyer guys in Indiana, to go in Kentucky and cook this barbecue contest. And I said, well, okay, but bring a bunch of eggs, and I'll cook the whole contest on eggs. Nobody had ever done that before. I think it was 2003 maybe. And so I go there, and the guy brings these eggs. Jeff Raymond is the rep for the area. We still laugh about the story, and he brings these eggs, and I cook the whole contest on eggs. And it's all the big hitters at the time. Trigg is there, and Mike Davis, and everybody. And I win the contest.
Nice.
Which, I mean, I could win a contest back then, but never I cooked one on eggs,
Nice.
And so all of a sudden, they sell all the eggs they have. They sell all the ones I'm cooking on, because everybody's into it now. Everybody's like, holy cow, I don't know about this thing, but I better get one. And I still have the trophy. It was a baseball bat, because we were right outside of Louisville.
That's right.
And it was a Louisville Slugger.
That.
Yeah, I still got it in my office.
I wasn't there. That's why you got to win. But
I can admit that.
But it's cool.
But it changed everything. All of a sudden, so now I'm qualified for the Jack.
Oh, that's right.
So I called the guy at Big Green Egg, and I said, well, so now this is going along pretty good. They're realizing they're getting attention because of me. It's working pretty good. And and I said, well, I'll cook the Jack on all eggs, but you've got to hire me. And I said, and it wasn't much money. I forget what it was, but a monthly. I've always cut my deals like this, because nobody wants to pay the barbecue man in November and December and January. Yeah. So you got to cut the deal for the whole year, or you're going hungry in those months. So I said, well, you've got to, you're going to have to pay me this much money for a month for the year, and we'll start right at the Jack. And I'll cook on all eggs at the Jack. And they're hemming and hawing and hemming and hawing. And finally, so for years, my annual deal ended like October 22nd or whatever it was. It was like the Tuesday before the Jack. Because they waited and waited. And finally, I was like, listen, I got this pellet cooker. I'm happy to go cook the Jack on it. And so they finally came through and hired me. And it lasted for 17 years. We had a great run.
17 years.
Yeah.
And it went from a strip center to Taj Mahal. I mean, the warehouse and the big deal. And,
they moved over they bought an old Granger building, which, about the size of those. It was a nice size. And then they moved to a really big building in Atlanta, right on, I think it's 85 there. Really cool building. And, they had a great run. I mean,
How many staff members did they have in-house when you started with them compared to where they were when you had left?
When I started, it was less than 10. Yeah, for sure. They still never had a lot of staff, because the things are made off site.
But they go through distribution too.
Yeah, distribution, right? I mean, and they never had a lot of staff in-house
Right.
in Atlanta. You know what I mean? So I don't really know what the number would have been at the end. But it clearly had grown to be a huge company because of that. And,
yeah.
you know, I mean, obviously many other things happened. But hey, I was part of the team with that. I get a whole bunch of credit for all of that.
There's no doubt about it.
We put them on the map because it became now all of a sudden when you came to a barbecue cook-off, there was guys with green eggs that were actually winning.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, it became legitimate. And then everybody wanted to win. And then we did a thing. We gave away 50 of them one year to winners of barbecue contests. I was like, let's just give. I mean, it was a big commitment, but back then you didn't even have to pay. All you had to give them was the egg. And so we gave away 50 eggs, and so all of a sudden everybody had one in their backyard. Myron had 3 of them in his backyard. Mike Davis was he was wheeling and dealing. He had his own sale going. He was selling it. But we didn't really care. What we had was a picture of you with the grand champion trophy and your egg on the stage. You know? So it really worked good. We got a bunch of them out there. And I mean, I'll take a lot of credit for all of that. And things change. You know, it evolved along the way. I got to write a book for them. I had a great run with them. It was fun.
What kind of gets me is, it's gone from that charcoal vertical cooker from the Kamado egg style pit to the 55-gallon drum.
Oh, yeah, right. That's right.
It's not really, so now you've got this inefficient drum compared to a super efficient egg.
Yeah, they're easier to carry around, though.
Yeah, they are a bunch easier to.
I was young. I could wheel them things around back then, man. It's not.
Yeah,
I remember putting one. Tuffy won at the Lakeland contest, and he had a Class C motorhome, and he had no trailer. I don't know. He had a Jambo or something. So we had to take this large egg and get it somehow up in the kitchen of his RV.
Oh my God!
I moved a lot. Yeah, that was the only bad part about it. If I was there, I had to help load the thing. But see what you're saying, though, Eddie. It was about temp control. So when I started doing this a million years ago, the whole goal was if you could somehow control your temperature, because none of us could. We had junk. We had 55-gallon drums made into, on their side, and
grills,
and we had offsets, cheap offsets, and you just, your temp was all over the board. If the holy grail was to be able to stay at 225 and cook all night, and that's what you could do with the pellet cookers.
Well, I could, but I had to start out with smoke, medium, and high.
It wasn't quite
that's super high tech controls that Traeger
and
had.
When it really went bad, then guys got those and then started putting thermometers on them and realized the swings that were happening.
Oh yeah, I was like, holy shit! Can you really cook like this?
With no thermometer, they didn't know, and everything cooked pretty good once they knew, right?
And that's why Joe Traeger always says, well, how'd the food come out?
But those drums are good like that too. Same thing,
right?
And I had a Jedmaster along the way. Those were all the rage for a while because it was easy temperature control, and that's at the end of the day, that's what we were all striving for.
Right? Yeah. But the Jedmaster, that was you drug that Jed around for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know where that thing is. Someone called me. It's been a while now, probably 10 years ago. Someone called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, I'm getting ready to buy this old Jedmaster, and somebody said it was yours." And he described it, and I said, "It probably was. I don't know where it's been."
There wasn't that many of them around.
No, there wasn't. Yeah.
I mean, Chris Lilly's still dragging his around.
Well, him and Chris has bought a couple, and John Marcus, I think, is a collector at this point. John's like, if there's an old one around, John will buy it.
John buys it.
Yeah, I think John's like hoarding the market on them.
And those were built in McPherson, Kansas, I think. The Jeds were, weren't they?
Somewhere out there, yeah, wherever the Mennonite community was.
I think
Dennis Unruh, yeah.
Unruh.
So I was at the NBBQA conference in Kansas City. You were there selling Traeger.
Yes,
you were the hot booth. You guys were out there.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted, because you had started getting people's attention.
I was out there in the snow.
Yep, that's right. And everybody wanted to talk to you guys. I mean, man, that's way back. That's mid-90s.
Well, and then after I left there, I can't remember, it was a month or two later, Lenny Cassiopo was there. Mm-hmm. And that's when he bought a bunch of Traeger stuff, and but I had to agree, and I was going anyway to Covington, Louisiana for that contest.
Oh, okay.
And Lenny parked next to me, okay, and this is one of the two stories I get to tell of somebody who's never ever cooked a contest and wins their first contest.
Nice.
Okay, so I mean, Joe Davidson, all the big guys are down there at this because it's a state championship,
and there just wasn't that many back then.
Right, there wasn't that many. So Lenny drags his pits and spits with him that he had, and then he brings this Traeger equipment, and he cooked the contest on both pieces of equipment. Okay, and then they taste tested. He's got the dream team with him. Those guys sat and dreamed and got drunk while Lenny cooked. Okay, I called him the dream team. And then they would do the taste test and decide what to turn in. Okay, they turned in everything off the pellet pits.
Nice.
Off the pellet cookers. And so...
And one?
Well, the call down when it got to third overall was me. It sucked. Because I'm trying to win a state
you were pretty good back then.
You know, and then second overall was Joe Davidson, and guess who gets to win it? Lenny Cassiopo.
Yeah, nobody else left.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean,
Of the big hitters.
nobody would even dreamed he was going
Right,
to be.
yeah.
He'd made some walks. You know, you could tell this was a possibility at the time. It was like, holy shit, guy wins his first freaking con. Now I was consulting with him the whole time
course,
as they're
yeah.
cooking with it, and it's like, son of a bitch. Here I help this guy, you know, and he beats me, wins his first, and he's a qualifier. You know,
Nice,
and it's
yeah.
like, oh man.
And those were a big deal back then.
Huge
man.
deal,
Yeah,
huge
it was
deal.
Really wasn't that easy to
Well,
get
and the
qualified.
second one was Jerry Smith.
We used to call bottom feeding.
You were probably at the event when Jerry Smith won.
Yes,
In
where was that?
Lakeland?
Yeah, sure, right.
Okay, well, you remember?
Oh,
you know
that's right. Yeah,
you know
you
the
just walked
story
in
on
every
that.
100, yeah.
You know the story on that. Yeah, when I sold him a 100. Okay, and actually I talked him into going to Bradenton to cook because I was chasing points, and he cooked Bradenton with me because I needed to borrow his equipment. You know?
Right, yeah. Used to do a lot of that.
Do a lot. So anyway, Jerry keeps. I leave him all my seasonings. He's got all my recipes. He cooked right with me. He took notes. He's a smart guy.
Oh, yeah.
So that was in late November, and of course Lakeland's end of January, and I couldn't make Lakeland. I had to be on duty, and I had a whole bunch of things. I was trying to really pedal my big trailers and my big pits, and anyway, Jerry goes and cooks Lakeland. I'm at the fire station, and he calls me up, and it's like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And it's like, hey, we won the Governor's Cup. I'm going, wait, that's cool, dude. Wow, man, you won the Governor's Cup, top Florida team.
Right,
I
I never won that thing. Everybody always beat me.
And then he says, well, yeah, but I won the whole event. And I'm going, holy shit.
Nice.
Yeah,
I was there for sure. I remember that.
Nobody knew who he was.
Smoking Suds. That was his name,
Smoking
I think,
Suds.
right?
That's
Yeah.
right. I couldn't remember the name.
Yeah.
Golly, you got a memory on you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But he wins it all, and nobody knew who he was, did they?
No, I had no idea.
It's like guy comes out of nowhere, comes down here and kicks
Well, and
everybody's
he had
ass.
the big motorhome, which back then we didn't all have big motorhomes like they do now. Jerry had a motorhome in the FE100. We're like, who's this guy? Where did he come from? It's true.
That built my stature, didn't it?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, you did a few of those along the way.
Yeah, but tell me somebody who helped somebody win their first contest and do it twice.
Yeah, no, that's especially with that radical of a different approach.
Right.
Here, buy this smoker, and it's not like what everybody else
And
is
it's just
using.
teaching and using the equipment. Of course, I got on their second contest when they won. That's when I got banned from the park in Lynchburg, Tennessee.
I was going to say, you're not counting the jack, right?
No, that was their second event, remember? Because they had cooked the jack the year before.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
I just brought in the equipment for it,
Yeah.
and I spent the year, conferring back and forth with them
Right.
on the telephone, not in by face. Okay, and they've been cooking on my
the jack
one.
was kind of hostile back then.
Who got blamed?
You, yes, of course. Well, let's be honest about that story. Until that happened, everybody could help. They would call us and ask, would you help an international team?
Oh, yeah.
I did. I helped people. I saw everybody helping international teams. And basically, the international team would go party and a guy would cook for them until you won. Once you won, it was like, wait a minute, we can't let them actually win.
But Jackie actually cooked. Too.
Right, I know that.
And she took the meat right off the truck
Yeah.
that gave everybody. It was
Right.
it was all commodity stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Back then, they would just have all the food for the international teams.
Right.
Yeah. So, but anyway, at that, I'm going to talk about buying my Jedmaster because I'm living in Chicago. I'm a city guy. I've never met no Mennonites, So Dennis Unruh is a Mennonite, and he's got these cookers. And I knew Ed Royth had bought one, and I really wanted to buy a cooker, and I had some money. And Dennis is trying to sell me a cooker all weekend, and I keep wanting to go in the bar. Let's just go have a drink and we'll talk about it. He's like, well, let's sit out here. I was a city guy. I did not realize he's a Mennonite. He really wasn't going to go to the bar with me and drink. But I ended up buying a cooker from him that weekend. And Dennis is a good guy, man. He built some nice cookers. I don't know whatever happened to all that, but
yeah, Dennis was a good guy, and he worked it really hard.
Yeah,
and very, very good people.
Yeah, the quality of the smokers was like, when they were at their top, the ones they were building, there was nothing like them.
Right.
That's why they're still around. It's 25 years ago,
and they're hugely unique.
Yeah. But again, what was it all about? Temp control.
Yes.
That was what we were all striving for. Them things that stay on temp for days.
Right, with the racetrack charcoal thing and all that. Yeah, I mean he was way ahead of his time. Well, I mean, I don't know. It was good to see something different. That's what was going on in barbecue. It was development. Nowadays, who's really developing anything?
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, they just kind of do the same thing, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I judged the Jack a while back, and the food's all the same, which I get it, because if you're winning and I know what you did, I might as well do that because it makes sense, but it's kind of frustrating.
I would like to see, my wish in barbecue competition would be like the steak people got it right. Okay. You come in, you don't bring anything but your cooker.
Oh, yeah.
You draw a number, you go up there, you pick your steak, and then you reverse order picking the other parts. Yeah. And I would like to see same thing.
Yeah, but they morphed into all doing the exact same thing too. Well, they would all tell you they don't, but for me, it looks pretty similar.
But think about this morning on the television, I was watching the local TV there, and a guy's going over showing the meat that he's doing. So he's got this sized brisket, Wagyu brisket, it's Snake River Farms Gold. Yeah. And the gal goes, "What'd that cost?" He goes, $300. I mean, look what it's done to the sport. Okay. And it's not what you're cooking at home.
Right.
Okay.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
You used to call me because I was the guy that was aging his briskets.
Yeah, right.
Remember that? He's like, "You got any brisket?" "Yeah, I've got some for this weekend,
Well, at some point then we all were. Everybody just had an extra refrigerator full of briskets for the summer.
Yeah.
We would buy them by the case.
Right.
But we weren't buying them $300 ones either.
No, but you were aging them up. And if you didn't have a good aged commodity brisket, you could beat people. Is what you could do. But now it's the Snake River. But just think what it's done to the sport.
Yeah.
It's just made it go crazy is what it's done. And it's not commodity food. I mean, that was a commodity food. But
you also cooked the American Royal. This is going way back when the Invitational, they gave you the food and it was crap,
Well, and then
you didn't know what you were going to get.
Then you're get people dragging their own cooler and digging stuff out
they're cheating,
of it.
Right?
Yeah, they're cheating because they're hiding the stuff.
But things they needed at the time was probably 50 briskets to give to these competitors. So they just bought 10 cases of briskets. Imagine the variety.
I like the Texas deal where it's tagged.
Yeah.
So if it was commodity and tagged, and then you got to cook it.
You got to cook that one.
Yeah, and then also too, you have inspectors. I was talking about the brisket championship open thing that Joe Davidson started back in the day, and
wasn't it Jeff?
Jeff and Joe.
Yeah,
but I think it's really Joe and then Jeff was kind of part of it at the beginning. Then it became Jeff. So I entered the 3 briskets. Mm-hmm. And you can only put 7 slices in the box.
Right.
Do not put anything else.
If
no
you don't
garnish.
understand, so they would get these truck tags and put them on the brisket so people don't understand. And that way that brisket was marked, and when they came and watched you slice it and put it in the box, it had to be that same brisket.
Right. It had to be off that a brisket. So I entered 3 briskets. They was tagged, and you got to trim around it on the tag. It's got to stay in place and stuff. But 7 slices. You can't put any more, any less. It has to be 7 slices in the box. So I got this kid, because I'm doing 3 briskets. There was 4 turn-ins, but I'm 3 of the 4, so I have my own inspector, never left.
Uh-huh.
So this young gentleman's there. I shouldn't call him a kid, young gentleman. And he puts a seal on the box. The first one goes off. We're kind of hanging around, because I think the second one I had to skip, and then I was on the 3rd and 4th round. And here come a gator pulling up at my coach.
Oh, no.
And I'm going, what the hell is Joe Davidson? Joe comes in and he says, hey, I'm going to have to disqualify you if you keep doing what you're doing. And I said, doing what? Putting more meat in the box. I said, Joe, I put 7 slices in the box. And I looked over at the kid and I said, how many did I put in that box? He goes, 7. And then I looked at Joe and I says, Joe, don't tell me you didn't put the whole slice on the judge's plate, because the judge never touched it until it was on the plate put on there by the rep. Mm-hmm. Okay. I said, don't tell me you didn't put the whole slice on the plate, because how I trimmed my brisket out where it just barely stuck together.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Because I know what the better part of the brisket's going to be, the point. Mm-hmm. And I didn't just turn in flat. I had the whole slice of the brisket.
Oh, with both muscles on there?
Right. So when they picked up the brisket out of the box, the point fell off.
Yeah. So it looked like 2 slices.
It looked like 2 slices. And I said, Joe, you know as well as I do what's the best part of the brisket. Don't tell me you're screwing me, Joe.
Well, we also know it's acceptable to serve a slice of brisket with both muscles on there.
Right. You should see the look on his face when I say that to him. I mean, he just gets that, oh, shit, and off he turns. And out the door he goes. And I'm going, I just got screwed, is what just happened right there. Mm-hmm. Because, you cut
They ate the point, or they ate the flat.
Right. I mean, and I cut it, obviously. It stayed together because I let it drop.
Right.
In all the nice au jus that's laying there. And then I used that big, wide knife to slide under it, up and in the box. But
anybody who knew what they were doing would have taken both muscles as the one slice. Sure.
Exactly.
Wow.
Talk about get pissed. Anyway, so let's, now we're going to get into how things have changed, and we have briefly touched on it, to today's influencer taking over. And I think while we were off camera, we briefly talked about it. It's really going to get super interesting with this AI world, isn't it?
Well, we think so. I mean, nobody's really sure. But I mean, let me just say, I say this a lot lately. My career has sort of dried up. I mean, for 25 years, I worked as a spokesman for, you name it. I worked for the Pork Board all the time.
Yes.
I worked for Cabo Tequila. I worked for Big Green Egg. I worked for a lot of people over the years, and good work, and did a lot of cool stuff. And all of a sudden, it just kind of all started to dry up. And I'm getting old, and I get that. I'm not that active in the comp world anymore. But it really is the influencer thing. Influencers have taken over all of that work.
Just
I get it.
In their backyard.
Well, that's
their camera.
See, that's the thing.
That's it. That's all they do. I mean, and
nobody eats their food except themselves.
Yeah.
This is where everything I ever did, I had handed the food to someone else to tell us how good it was. Right. Now you just eat it yourself and declare it great. Your eyes roll back in your head. Yeah.
I mean, I need to mimic it.
Good job. You look like you just got off. Well, I'm not really sure what it looks like, but that's my guess.
Maybe that's fine. People crap it.
Oh, so is that how you do it? And I'm not doing it right. That's how I can't get that look going.
Maybe you need to tape it and go back and watch it after you do.
You need to handle 2 different kinds of meat at the same time and get that reaction.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, sorry.
We won't go there.
Sorry. But anyway, that's my beef with this. The influencer thing, it's great. If it was 25 years ago, I guarantee I'd be right in the middle of it all,
Right.
I just don't have it in me anymore. I just don't. I'm not a fan of it. I want people to eat my food. I don't want to pile up 8 burgers on my burger and dump a gallon of cheese sauce over it just for the reaction.
Right.
Who would want to eat that? Nobody wants to eat that. I mean, we've always been judged on our food by someone else eating it. That's where it bugs me, the influencer thing. But hey, it's the new thing, and that's what people do, and I get it. And it's left me behind. But again, at this point in my life, I'm not that worried about it. But then if someone told me, as I told you, I won't name him on camera, but he said, Ray, there's AI's coming, and it's going to replace these guys. And that was something interesting to think about.
Yeah. The next version. And it could be quicker than we think. You don't know. Yeah. I mean, it could be next month, next year. I mean, I can fully see a whole lot of this changing. This is what interested me about the podcast. and doing what I'm doing. I think the stories need to be there.
Yeah.
I think people will find it interesting hearing from the starts. How did this stuff get developed? I was cooking on a prototype 750 out there at the last night, you know, and
well, we were the test pilots. That's how I say it a lot. We couldn't go buy first. I mean, talk about cookers. You really couldn't buy a cooker. I mean, when I started, you had to kind of make your own. Or there was Joe was selling cookers. Oklahoma Joe. Close was, if you could, but Close. I mean, I remember I had it on my desk for years with a one pager.
You got to tell the story. You did it yesterday, but how David Close's marketing was. Okay,
we're inducting David into the Hall of Fame tonight.
We loved seeing David Close come to a contest. He was one of the original offset cooker builder guys,
and still is giant Texas heavy duty. I mean, Dave always used to, I think it was him or somebody used to talk about his pits were the heaviest, and they probably
were. But talk about how his marketing was coming to it.
Well, Dave was a fun guy, so he would come to the American Royal and bring he had this big gooseneck trailer, and he would fill it with cookers. Like he built a cooker out of some old phone booth. He had a baby carriage. He had one that he had like plated in gold. All this crap, and then he'd bring some
OCC, the motorcycle guys.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
sidecar smoker for them.
And he would buy. I mean, he'd bring all this crap to the cook-off. It'd be like a circus, and then he would. And a margarita machine. It'd always be a margarita machine.
And a hot tub.
And so, that was the one in Buffalo. We're in Buffalo, which we could talk about that cook-off. There's only a couple times we could talk about it all day. Dave shows up, and he's got a trailer full of cookers that he's delivering and whatever. He's always got a thing going. And he rents a hot tub and like a 10 by 10 closed tent. So at his cook site, he's got the hot tub in the tent. Then he goes to Hooters and probably got drunk and hired the Hooters girls to come and be on the team. So here's his cook site. He's got a hot tub and a bunch of Hooters girls while they're cooking. Yeah, that's his marketing, exactly. He was a fun guy.
Yeah, Dave was thinking outside the box.
Yeah, he was definitely not doing it like everybody else's way.
Right.
That's what I feel like, and it's just the way of the world. You know, again, I say test pilots because we were when it came to cookers. I mean, you were obviously a test pilot with the pellet cookers in the early days. We couldn't buy seasonings really. You could, but mostly we made them ourselves, and sauce is the same. There's a couple options, but not much. We were really and different cuts of meat. I mean, we used to cook whole chickens and cut them into pieces. I mean, it was a thing till somebody, Jumpin' Jim, all of a sudden decided we all cook thighs. We used to cook back ribs, spare ribs, whole spare ribs,
right?
Pork butts you could turn in all there. You know what I mean? There was a lot of different things happening, and we were feeling it out. And Mike Scrutchfield was a great influence too. I always think about Mike. Mike, in my mind, was the first guy that said, what if I tried to put this meat in the box in a fashion that the judge will look at it and say, holy cow, that looks really nice. I better write a 9 down. Because we didn't think we made it look nice. You laid the meat in there.
Right.
But Mike was the guy that started thinking, what if I laid it and kind of, got a little fancy with it. And all that stuff was happening. Now it's all played out. Everybody knows about it, and the internet fuels it, of course. I mean, think about the making the bed of parsley in the box. Oh my God. I used to teach these classes in the early days. And one of the things I would tell everybody is you got to bring a cooler just for your lettuce. You can't just throw the lettuce in with the beer because that's what we were doing.
And then you got to blanch it and you got to get it crispy and you got to get it where it puffs out.
Yeah, that wasn't happening at all.
I mean, it's
we'd fish it out of a beer cooler and line the box with it. I mean, which wasn't obviously the right thing to do, but that's how far it came.
Exactly.
I mean, I remember that. Well, when you think about some of these rules, the rule about that if you grab a piece and it's not cut through, you can't shake it off, and you got to just take whatever is stuck together. That was for ribs, for one, but also we used to cook chicken breasts and leave them on the bone and cut it. You remember that?
Right.
And if you tried to take one, if you didn't get it cut right, you'd kind of pick up the whole chicken breast and nobody else got any.
Right.
I mean, think about somebody trying to cook a bone-in chicken breast for a cook-off now. It would never happen. And the pork butts, the pork butts, the rule was, and I drove you to the store for this. The rule was like a pork butt had to be about pounds.
Yeah, minimum
I
5
picked you up
pounds.
at somewhere in Decatur at the airport or something and drove you to the grocery store to buy a pork butt back in the day of cooking content. And then we would do that back then, and you could never find a whole pork butt. That's why you had to cook like the one they'd cut a couple pieces off of it,
right.
and it would be 5 pounds. Think about now, who would roll into town and go to the grocery store looking for a pork butt?
Looking for commodity stuff.
Yeah, but that's why that rule was about. I mean,
well, now they just actually places are cutting the money muscle off of them. Why don't we just go back to pork tenderloins?
Did you see the guy? Mr. Brisket is the guy out. He's at the Royal now.
Yeah,
he'll trim up all your meat for you.
Yes,
you get 16 thighs, a trimmed up brisket, a couple of pork money muscles.
Yeah, he's going to package it and it's all trimmed for you, so you don't.
And I think it's a good business.
And he's selling the hell out of it out there because I hear him all body weight. I mean, he hit the money load bringing a truck to the Royal.
It just shows you how different it is now.
Yeah. Well, we're going to try to end this thing. We could sit here and talk forever.
For days.
I hope you enjoyed this one. We're going to have him back, after we become a Joe Rogan type situation.
Yeah, when you could pay, call me next time.
Yeah. I can believe that, okay? Hey, I hope you enjoyed this one as much as we did. And please leave us a comment so we can talk more about Dr. Barbecue, and maybe he'll get on here and answer some of those comments. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, go down there, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you can hopefully see some more fun stuff like this. But again, thank you for coming to Pellet Cooker University, and we're going to catch you on the next one. Keep it smoking. You've been listening to Pellet Cooker University. Thanks for joining me here at Pellet Cooker University. I'm Fast Eddie. If you liked today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment. It helps us feed the fire, grow the channel, and keep the smoke rolling. And if you're serious about cooking, check out cookshack.com, the leader in high-quality commercial pellet cookers and grills. See you next time.